So there's been a lot of chatter recently about, like, hey, maybe Biden shouldn't actually run and he should drop out right now. I know Cenk Uygur was pushing this idea, and then I think there was an op-ed in the Washington Post, of all places, which is, very establishment-friendly outlet, right? And they had a piece that was like, oh, no, maybe it's time for him to step aside. And then other people came out after that and said, no, don't make Biden step aside, but he should definitely pick somebody else for VP because Kamala ain't it. So all these ideas are floating around now because I think people are realizing it's getting down to crunch time, and Biden is really old and struggling mentally, and like you are kind of rolling the dice with handing the country over to an authoritarian in Trump because we have such a weak candidate on the Democratic side. So there's a lot of concern about all this. Now, Gavin Newsom is one of the people who's viewed as, he's waiting in the wings. He's one of the candidates who would be considered one of the top level candidates if he were to run, whenever he were to run. And so CNN is kind of interested in probing him to see where he's at. Like, hey, would you step in for Biden? If Biden steps aside and Kamala's running, would you run against her? And there's some really interesting things he says here that kind of shocked me. Let's listen.
Only 1/3 of American voters think that Joe Biden will stay in office through a second term. I know you are downplaying concerns about his age, but do you believe that voters don't have any reason to be concerned that he would be 86 years old by the end of his second term?
Voters have every right to be concerned, but I remember Bobby Kennedy said it best, that what the world needs are the qualities of youth, not a time of life, but a state of mind, a quality of imagination. I mean this, I couldn't imagine 3 years ago that this president could accomplish so much in such a short period of time. I mean that. If this political season is all about a celebrity, with all due respect, we had a celebrity for 4 years. It didn't go well. And so I want a seasoned pro that knows how to get things done. I'm a little old-fashioned. I want a guy who produces results. And the results are in. It's been a masterclass. There's simply no administration in my lifetime that's been more effective producing more substantive results.
You and Vice President Kamala Harris go way back. Yep. You say that you came up together in San Francisco,
Before
knew each other.
we were in politics.
Before you were in politics. I'm sure you saw that former Speaker Emerita, Nancy Pelosi, she heaped praise on Kamala Harris, but she declined to say whether or not she thought that the vice president is the best person to be on the ticket with Joe Biden in 2024. Do you?
Of course she is. The Biden-Harris administration, masterclass in terms of performance. Bipartisan deals on infrastructure, bipartisan deals on guns and debt ceiling, on the chips and science.
She's the best choice.
I mean, by definition, if I think this administration the last 2.5 years has been one of the most outstanding administrations in the last few decades, and she's a member of that administration, she gets to lay and claim credit to a lot of that success. The answer is absolutely.
So first of all, let me state the obvious. He is way better at making the case for Biden and Kamala than Biden or Kamala is. He is way more with it cognitively, way more snappy and punchy when he talks. Like, he's just better at making their case than they are, which is kind of embarrassing, right? So that's the first point. The second point is, damn, son, so you're saying, I'm 100% behind Biden, him running again. Man, 70% of the country, 73% of the country in one poll is like, he ain't making it through a second term. He's too old for this. To really, rally the troops like this at this point, I don't know, because it is still conceivable he dies or he decides to step aside. And in that instance, he's put himself in a corner now, because even on the issue of Kamala, he's like, oh, she's phenomenal. She's great. She deserves all the credit in the world. Yeah, she should be the one. So when are you thinking of running? 2028? Because everybody knows he has the ambitions, but it's very weird because he's hiding it colossally here, where he's like, I would pick Biden, I would pick Kamala, I wouldn't run against them. Very strange. Very, very strange. Would he just, let's say Biden steps aside and Kamala runs, would he just, totally go back on his word and be like, of course, yeah, I'm running? Well, you were just saying that you wouldn't run against Kamala. Anyway, let's see what else. I think the CNN host gives some commentary too.
Right, such unequivocal support. Mm-hmm. Let's just be real. We don't hear that even from a lot of Democrats. And that's exactly why he's trying to be out there with such unequivocal support.
He's trying to play the game the way the game is played, right? The way the Democratic Party works now is the way the Republican Party used to work, which is, hey, it's your turn. Remember, it was like when John McCain became the nominee, everybody viewed it as, oh, it's his turn. It's not even like the base loved him. They were just like, well, it's that guy's turn. Mitt Romney, it's his turn. And now the Republican Party doesn't work like that. They're like, we're just going to pick the craziest psycho we could find and pick Trump. And then on the Democratic side now, we went from, let's pick the new, fresh breakthrough candidate, like when Obama first ran. Everybody, oh my God, new, fresh, different. It's not his turn, but we're going to pick him. And then they went Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and now you're going to do Joe Biden again? Like, everybody falls in line and just does what they're quote unquote supposed to do. And it looks like, so one of the reasons he could be making these arguments is because he wants, when he views it as his term, he wants unanimous support. And he would want, for example, a Kamala endorsement of him or a Biden endorsement of him when it is quote unquote his turn. That could be what he's thinking. I don't know.
In various ways, he says that the Democratic Party needs to stop hemming and hawing, needs to stop sort of gnashing their teeth collectively, and he says point blank, this is the train that is leaving the station, so we all need to get on board.
But it's the primary. So this line of argument drives me crazy. It is the primary. It is the primary. I support Marianne Williamson. It's the primary. I agree with her on more things. I think she's a better leader. I think she'd be a better president. I agree with her agenda way more. It's a primary. By the time you get to the general, if the Democrats want to say, hey man, we got to take down the authoritarian. You know, this guy saying he wants to suspend the Constitution. You should want to vote for a head of rotting lettuce over Trump. That I understand, but we're not there yet. Where we are right now is the primary, and they're doing the falling on. Yes.
He's referring to the Biden-Harris re-election campaign. And what he's been trying to do, not just I guess really by example, Aaron, is say, this is how you do it. Stop whining, stop worrying, get out there and sell this ticket, because this is the ticket that we have.
Well, he's selling masterclass, listing off all of the accomplishments as he sees them, right? I mean, and just like point blank, no pause support for Kamala Harris. Again, I'm just saying it does contrast with what you hear from so many others. And so you did speak to him about his own ambitions, right? Because in any conversation about, if Biden decides not to run, he has to anoint someone, you hear Gavin Newsom's name. How does he respond to that?
Doesn't go there at all. At all. I am not interested in 2024, even if Joe Biden, for some reason, doesn't run. He insists he's not interested. Basically, Kamala Harris is next, but he doesn't really even acknowledge the option, the notion of Joe Biden not running right now. I did ask him about whether or not he ever considered running for president ever in the future. He demurred. We can talk more about that conversation when we see it later.
He's just saying, just not right now.
There are two scenarios I can think of that are worse than Joe Biden being the nominee. One of them is Kamala being the nominee. The other one is Pete Buttigieg being the nominee. I just think Kamala and Pete Buttigieg would fare worse in a general election. Those are the two scenarios that are worse than Biden. Outside of that, almost every other scenario is either equal to a Biden run or maybe even a little better. Even somebody like Gavin Newsom. So, I don't know, to put himself in a corner like that. And look, again, the scary thing is he's so much better at making the case for Biden than Biden is at making the case for Biden. And obviously way better than Kamala is at making the case for Biden and or Kamala. That's terrifying. Like the fact that there's 91 criminal charges and 4 indictments against Trump, and you've never heard Biden say he has 91 criminal indictments and 91 criminal charges and 4 indictments against him. He's never said it. He's never quoted Trump when Trump said he wants to suspend the Constitution. Hammer him over the head with that on a daily basis. He's never brought up the 800,000 manufacturing jobs that because of his legislation, he's helping bring back to the country. He never brought that up. He doesn't bring up the NLRB rules, which are increasing overtime pay for a lot of people, or giving more people overtime pay. He didn't bring up the if a boss tries to union bust, your union is automatically recognized. He doesn't bring up the various things which he should bring up. Like, you need to, number one, attack your opponent effectively. That should be easy with Trump, but he's not doing it. Number two, talk about your own accomplishments. That should be easy, but he's not doing it. And number three, talk about what you are going to do in a second term. Just one example is paid family leave. We're going to get a paid family leave bill. Doesn't do that either. So the 3 measures of like what would be good for campaigning and for getting elected, he's not doing any of them. And you got Gavin Newsom out there doing the interview every now and then, and he does a way better job than Biden does. And he's also at the same time like, I'm not going to run against him or Kamala if Biden were to step out. So, oh my God, Jesus Christ. The idea that like Democrats might be stuck with Kamala Harris in a post-Biden era, oh man. I just, for the love of God, we just want somebody to be excited about, right? And there's just not, it ain't in the cards. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.